Entertaining everyone royally, as are these two. What a match we have on our hands here. If only Dennis Priestley had woken up a bit in the first couple of legs, he could have taken that first set.
Yeah, average of 101.37 Priestley, and yet he lost the set, and that really says a lot about Baxter. That is impressive. You're a set into the game. They've played a county match-sized game, and it begins to count after you've played 5 legs of darts. The averages really do mean something.
Yeah, but you know yourself, John, you've done an awful lot of darts matches. Stuart, you've done quite a few yourself. Averages often count for absolutely nothing. And when you've got 43 World Championship appearances between these two, this is not going to be an average match.
Well, we saw earlier on, didn't we? Justin Pipe, decidedly average. 83 is end average, but still winning 3-0 and losing only 2 legs. It doesn't matter. All about getting past this first round. But for you, a bit of an ambition realised to commentate on one of the legends. We talked about this in the first set. Overused word, but to commentate on one of the true legends in Dennis Priestley.
Yeah, I spent 10 years commentating on darts, and to have these two in front of me now, twice a world champion, Dennis Priestley, twice a world championship runner-up, Ronnie Baxter. Having never commentated on either of them, this is an absolute thrill. I'm a huge fan ofNis Priestley.
Well, that's to say nothing about the two guys who are sitting alongside you.
Now you come to mention it, Gwynny. This is the first time we've worked together as well.
Yeah, you're dead right. But you've enjoyed this season. Formula One, has it been as good as you thought it might have been?
It's been better, to be honest. I don't think anyone could have predicted the way the season would have panned out and turned out in Brazil on Sky Sports F1 HD. It was an absolute cracker to really put the final seal on what was a marvellous 20 rounds of Formula One action. This is the perfect antidote, though, to Formula One, isn't it? You know, Ronnie Baxter and Dennis Priestley, they're not exactly Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel up there. I mean, you look at Priestley throw, he's like a snail with lethargy, isn't he, at the moment? But it's the accuracy that comes with it as well. You can't fault it.
Well, age no barrier. I mean, we talked about that, 113 years between them. But you're talking about the fact that you were here with Marussia, and they've just signed a new boy, haven't they? New driver.
Yeah, 4 Brits on the grid, and you can see all the races live on Sky Sports F1 HD in 2013. Max Chilton will fit in very nicely, but let's just see if Dennis Priestley can fit 3 nice darts in here. 164 finish. He wants this.
It would be great. Saw Colin Osborne do this last night, and it was at a vital time in the game. But Priestley left to wait a bit longer. Baxter 80 then, so
you require 80.
Pretty hot on double tops in his career, Ronnie Baxter. And double 10 has been his trademark. Fraction inside there. Oh, it glanced it the wrong way, and now a chance for Priestley. Now, in the old days, Priestley would always go bull double 8. I wonder if he might go that way here. Always used to do. Yes.
And that's the way he went. So 9 double 16, maybe he's looking up. 1 for double top for the first leg of the second set.
26.
Way off, and he knows it.
That was important as well. That was for a breaker throw, and Dennis knows it as well. Will he get a second chance? There's your answer. Baxter hasn't been missing too much on the doubles. The winner of this, by the way, will take on Kevin Painter in round 2 here at the Ali Pali.
Well, whichever one wins this, that'll be some game again, no doubt about it. Great characters.
Well, it has to be said, John, that the field this year, I think, is one of the most competitive fields we've had in a PDC World Championship. And you can run down a list of 10 or 12 guys, I think, that could be there in the semi-finals, vying for the final spot. I've got quite a fancy about Dean Winstanley right at the bottom of the draw.
Fantastic last night, absolutely fantastic. And Dennis Priestley was talking about that. He was talking about Yorkshire grit and how much he has actually been inspired by watching Dean Winstanley play and win.
Well, they're not just Yorkshiremen, they actually come from the same town, same part of the world, South Yorkshire, Baxter, and know each other very, very well. And that was another example of a terrific match, without necessarily having averages that were sort of in orbit. It was a terrific game.
Styles make matches. It's like boxing with the sluggers up there, and both Mervyn King and Dean Winstanley have such inner determination and steel and grit. You know they're not going to roll over and lay down, and it was a terrific game.
You also have a little sneaking feeling for Michael van Gerwen,
Yeah,
don't
you just look at what Van Gerwen has done this year. I commentated on Van Gerwen when he became the youngest ever winner of the Wimbledon World Masters, and you knew then there was a great talent for the future, and I think we're finally seeing it realised. He's won some cracking events this year.
I think there's evidence there. If ever we needed any, as Priestley showing that he can turn the clock back. The fact that young players, if they go off the boil, can always come back again. And these two men prove that old players too are never really quite gone until, well, perhaps.
You don't lose the magic, you lose a touch of the consistency, and I think Dennis and Ronnie will be the first people to tell you that. But there you go, a couple of pieces of magic from Dennis Priestley, sets up double 10. He might not get a chance though if Baxter fills that one in, unlucky to him. Single 18, sets it up nicely, and Dennis Priestley now needs this, I think, for his own confidence, his own mind, and to try and settle up out there on the hockey.
Well, he's only won one leg so far, so this really is crucial.
Tell you what, he took aim there, didn't he? Took ages, but he gets it. Yes, Dennis Priestley levels up at one leg all. And what an important set this is. Dennis Priestley, if he can break the throw, ton 40 behind here, somehow get it back to one set all, we could be in for fun.
Yeah, I think we could go all the way. In fact, that was my selection tonight, that it might go to a 3-2 by the end of it. I'm not sure if Dennis Priestley would fancy that. If Ronnie Baxter would fancy that, whoever won wouldn't mind, I'm sure. But you can see this going a long way. But Priestley has got to settle.
Interesting. I think that's the last thing that Dennis would want. He's struggling a bit. Knobbly knees syndrome, he called it. He's got to have an operation in January.
Yes, you mentioned those factors that when players get older have to be taken into consideration, and stamina is one of them, of course.
Absolutely.
Dennis, as Stuart mentioned, has said that can be his biggest downfall. And
the thing about Priestley, though, I mean, remarkable that he is where he is. It's 5 years in January since he had that major surgery after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. And all is well. He's had the all clear. He has checkups every 6 months. And his career since that has been on an upward curve in the main.
And I know Dennis would love me to say this. He got a smashing letter off Sir Alex Ferguson when he had prostate cancer to say, get well, mate. It meant a lot to Dennis Priestley, that did.
Well, this will mean a lot to him as well. This has been a really good leg by Dennis Priestley. Solid darts. And Ronnie Baxter, who started this leg, is now aiming for 161 to try and hold his throw. Unlucky with the second dart. Lovely cover on the bullseye there. He's done what he can do. He's put the pressure on, but tops for Priestley for a break of throw. Oh, you've got to give it the big pause. And there's pause for thought on Ronnie Baxter's face.
Priestley throwing to make it 1 set apiece.
So we've talked about Van Gerwen, we've talked about Winstanley. We haven't talked Phil Taylor or Simon Whitlock, who plays later on tonight, or Gary Anderson, who I don't think was totally as good as we could see Gary Anderson play.
Anderson is, for me, sneaking under the radar. Not a lot of people have been talking in terms of Gary Anderson being a real challenger for this World Championship. I think he may be.
I also think his form is such that he's moving in the right direction at the right time.
Yeah.
And of course he could move. It could be that he'll meet Barney in the third round, you know, if results go right.
Yeah. And there's another man whose form is moving very much in the right direction.
Dead right.
Well, I mean, you look at the potential for round 3. Possibly Anderson, Barneveld, possibly Whitlock, Chisnall, Wade, Winstanley, Thornton, Taylor. There's 4 just for starters. Of course, everybody else or their opponents will disagree, but that's what the prospect is possibly for the last 16.
Unlucky Dennis, almost got the lot there, but it's left him nice and handy. A lead of 76 but Baxter wiping that out. Well, not
68.
entirely. I thought he was going to. Opportunity here to move in now on 2-4-1, down to the double and possibly take the set.
And only 2 180s in this match so
83.
far, which surprises me a bit. Ronnie Baxter, who of course every time you mention 180s doesn't just think about the ones he's hit, but the ones Ted Hankey hit against him to win the
60.
World Championship.
Then he should require
As I'm in the
150.
commentary box, you take this time to say, Ted Hankey, get well soon, mate.
Yes,
Hope
absolutely.
you're doing well up in Telford. Another treble, unlucky. Just took a deflection, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a tale of two World Championship finals, wasn't it? 6-5 one, 6-0 the other in consecutive years. Baxter lost to Barney and to Hankey.
One of the fastest World Championship finals ever. He was totally blitzed by a man who finished on the 170, but for the set now, 20 for tops for Dennis Priestley, who is still a menace, even at the age of 62. Tops on. Double 10 with Baxter lurking.
Oh, well, he likes the theatre,
Well,
Dennis. He made us wait. And Baxter too. But this man, no-nonsense dart player, wants double 16, double 8. To level up at 2 legs. Oh, we're going the distance in this second set. Knows he had his chance. Wasn't far away. But you've got to be in, and nobody knows it more than Dennis the Menace himself.
Yeah, a millimetre either way for Priestley and for Baxter. And Baxter now with the darts to possibly open up a 2-set lead, and that would be a big ask for Priestley to come back from that.
Yeah, very nice set of 3 though to start the leg as well, Ronnie Baxter, and that's proper experience. You survive the near miss and then you back yourself to go out there and start to take command of the important legs.
David, I described him as a no-nonsense dart player because with Ronnie Baxter you get what you see. There's hardly any reaction to bad throws or good throws. He's always got that same almost satisfied expression on his face, and he does enjoy the game, and you can't help but enjoy it with him, as Dennis Priestley gives us reason to smile. Dennis Priestley, second 180, battling away as he used to do famously against Taylor in the 90s.
Oh, don't you just love this sport though? Ronnie Baxter opens up, he takes command, and 3 sloppy darts, and Dennis Priestley makes him pay for it. And you know what? A ton plus here, he could make him pay again, but he's just got to watch himself a bit. Needs to switch down now. Unlucky.
Well, that might be costly for Dennis. The first man, of course, to win both the BDO and the PDC World Championship. But he's under pressure now. Brilliant from Baxter. The rocket firing, looks like he's firing to a 2-set lead.
Which could be a little more than Dennis Priestley can hit back with. But where there's hope, there's a challenge. And there's a decent bit of counting there to throw the challenge down. He's down to a 2-dart finish if Baxter can't wrap up the set now. 16 leaves double top for 2-0. Great marker. Yes, there you go. Ronnie Baxter survives what Dennis Priestley can throw at him. And so far it is the younger man that is in charge here at Ali Pali tonight. Younger, both of these boys have had great experience and they're doing it all over again for us here.